Hi. Today we're going to talk about different websites that you can use to look up building code violations. And the first couple of websites we're going to talk about are DOB Biz, BIS versus DOB Now. Okay. So basically they had the first website, which is DOB Biz, and that has the older violations. And the DOB Now website is something that they're working on, and they're making it easier to search important property information in the new database. So we're going to go over that. I'm going to share my screen with you so that you can see what I'm searching. Okay. Second here. So here we have Google, our friend, and we can just Google DOB BIS, and that pulls it up. Okay. Let's click on that. Okay. And DOB stands for Department of Buildings, and the BIS part stands for Building Information Search. So you have the house number, right? You have the street number. You have to choose your borough, block, lot, all of that, building identification number, bin number. So we're going to put Manhattan here. And then we're going to type in the number here. And then the street. And all this info had to be redacted. So. And then we're going to see what we have here. Okay, now we have the building pulled up. So we have the property profile overview page now. In the top left-hand corner, we can see the address of the property. That is where the address would be, if you could see it. And then the far right, we have the bin number. Okay, building information number. And the tax block, tax lot number. And then in bold red, it says partial stop work order exists on this property. Violation for failure to certify correction of class 1 violation exists on this property, and DOB civil penalties due. Okay. So the complaint is assigned to the construction safety enforcement unit. Okay. We're going to look at that. Okay. I have a needy cat. He wants to sit on my lap during our lesson. So we're looking at this here. We're looking at the different complaints here. It says 27 in total. So let me see here. Click on something. So you can see how the complaint is assigned to the construction safety enforcement on the overview for the complaint. This one is resolved. And how do we resolve these complaints when we get them? See, these on the side are the ones that are resolved. You can see RES, it's resolved. We have to call the Department of Buildings customer service, introduce ourselves, and give the complaint number to find out how we can resolve these. So So the partial stop work order, let's go back to that. Okay, where it says that. Okay. Click on that. The complaint generates the stop work order. Okay, so the complaint number, this is the complaint number for that. And then you see the ECB violations associated with the stop work order, and then, but this has been resolved since, which is good. And then we can go to view all complaints. And then another thing is that in the property overview, see here it says, click here for information how to remove a stop work order. So here it gives you information right here on what you're supposed to do. You can always look it up on the website, they'll tell you. In the property overview, you need to review the landmark status. Look, that makes things more complicated. The building is in a landmark building. You cannot change the front. It's a historical landmark. You cannot change the front layout design of the building. It might include the lobby as well as being banned for any kind of change because of historical preservation. The example is even if you change a numbers, like the street numbers or on a landmark, the landmark unit can come and give a violation. The landmark fines are $250 daily. That adds up fast. So the property profile page shows loft law too, that it's a loft. See that right here? Okay. It's a loft building, so you have to require the local loft. You're required to follow the local loft law. And you can look here at the certificates of occupancy. Nothing. Okay. No certificates. And now we can go to DOB violations. Okay. Gonna hit next. Next. And another next. So I'm gonna look at something that was active at least. Okay. Look at this here. It's active. So LL means local law, and then that would be the code, right, for facade. And that's the violation number. You can see the filing date is here. And that's listed as well here on the actual number. Okay. You can Google the local laws if you want to find out more about these local laws and what exactly they say. So this is something that is specifically dealt with through the facade inspection unit. And violations for, facade are $7,000 to start, and every month it goes up. So we have to hire a contractor and get that up to code fast. Let's go back and look at these. Okay, we have another one here. This is active. So you see the filing date is different, and that's why you have a different number here. It gives a different number for the filing date. Okay. Just back out. And now we're gonna see something else here. Okay. This is an elevator violation. So it's not in compliance, so you have to cease use. You cannot use the elevator. And the filing date here is shown, as well as the device number. This is the specific elevator, right? And the elevator violation unit handles that. So every 4 to 5 years, a structural engineer needs to file a structural report for the facade. Facade violations need to be corrected, blah, blah, blah. The structure is not sound. And then we're going to talk a little more about this elevator situation. Okay. Elevator unit needs to handle it, and it's out of service. It may be a supervisory device or fail-safe mechanism that wasn't working properly. So the elevator should not be running. They have to file a certificate of correction with the NYC Department of Buildings elevator unit, and the elevator unit has to do this with the elevator company. They're the only ones that can do that. So let's look. I think we have to say that the elevator company can certify correction because they did the actual work on the elevator. The elevator issues could be catastrophic if any fail-safe mechanism is not working. That's why no regular person is allowed to certify correction on the violation. The elevator mechanics must be the ones to certify correction once they finish the work. Okay. Let's go back and look at this. I'm going to look at another number. Here we go. Okay, so this is a failure to certify. And then you can see what the civil penalty is here. It's failure to certify class 1 ECB violation within 45-day period. You can go Google the local law, will generate, you'll see that it generates a civil penalty of $1,500, non-negotiable, non-refundable. Now going So this is something that is very serious. Let's go back and look at some of these. Okay. Look at the date here. See if I can find it. This looks like it. Okay. So you can see that it gives the number here, the ECB number, the violation number, and it still says active. Okay. So the violation is caused by an ECB violation. And that is what happens. You end up with a very expensive violation if you don't comply and certify. See, failure to certify correction on immediately hazardous class 1 ECB violation. Here is the actual details that gives the information, more information. See, the elevator now is out of service, right? And no compliance is recorded. That's why there was a penalty imposed. Okay, and then you can see it shows, it explains all of these certification statuses. You can look at that and research those. Open, no compliance recorded. This is, it means that you need to have certificate of correction is required. Okay, open certificate pending, certificate of correction submitted and under review. So they give you what all the statuses mean. Okay, in violation, hearing decision completed, oath found respondent in violation. So that's was not decided in your favor. If it says open, certificate disapproved, that means that they disapproved it with a reason why. Okay. So you can see it gives all the information here too again about what property we're talking about. It gives the number, the street, the borough, the bin number, all of that information. So we know what property this is in regards to. Okay. So let's look at something different now. Okay. Let's go back. Gonna find something else. I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, so this is a benchmark violation. That means there was a failure to report the energy use. You need to benchmark the building. You can pay a company $300 to do the benchmarking for you because a benchmark violation is $500 each year. So you can save yourself money just by delegating that task to someone else if you don't want to have to deal with that. Let's go back and look at another violation. Okay. So this is a failure to correct defects on the 2017 Category 1 inspection. So elevators have a Category 1 and Category 1, they have to come every year and look at all the supervisory devices. In Category 5 inspection, they do every I think every 5 years, and they put the elevator in motion with its full weight capacity to test it. Okay, good. So I gave you those examples. We're going to go and look at the DOB Now website. Okay, so here we go. We're in the DOB Now website. This is the new website I was talking about earlier. It gives more info than the other site. It's an upgraded version, more user-friendly. Okay, we can get more information on boilers, elevators, energy efficiency grades, and facades. Okay. So let's look and see what we have here. Right? Typing in the address. Okay. And then it tells us, gives us some information, right? Gives us a lot of the information that we had on other website. So we can also search by device number. Let's go back. If we want to look up what happened to that elevator. Let's see. Elevator. And we can go like that. And then it will pull it up. And you can see all the detail. Okay, go back up. Let's see what this is doing. See, it gives us some information here, right? You can see all the tests that have been done. You can see when corrections have been made. And this is the fees. These are the fees. They pay for that. Okay. So it should show us what the penalties are. And so we're going to look at that. Here gives us what the penalty is. And unlike the regular website we were at before, it gives us the actual cost of the civil penalty and everything. So that gives us a little more information. Okay. So they have different letters. Let's go back to that on the violations as well. If you look closely. Or no, for the device number is what I'm meaning. See, P is a regular elevator, passenger elevator. If that said E, it would be an escalator or maybe a small hoist pulley for restaurants, like a dumbwaiter. And then if it has F there, it would be freight. Okay. Now, see, this one, a violation was issued to elevator failure to correct defects. Now, sometimes they allow it to be accepted with defects, but then as a manager, you want to know if the defects were corrected. They have to be corrected because the elevator company needs to fix them. And if you don't fix them next year, you could have a bigger issue. Maybe it doesn't pass at all. Affirmation of correction, which we saw earlier, shows if the certification was corrected, was accepted. And only, again, only an elevator mechanic can submit the correction of an elevator. Let's move on to the last website we're going to talk about today. And that is going to be Housing Preservation and Development. NYC. NYC, NYC reminds me of Annie. Here we go. And so we're going to input the information again. We have the borough, and then we're going to put in the house number and then the street name. Okay, hit submit. And then it pulls up the address and it says the building is currently in the alternative enforcement program. This is not good. This means that somebody didn't correct something and it got to the point where the city was like, we're going to come in there and we're going to correct it ourselves. So it's called the Alternative Enforcement Program, or AEP for short. This is where the city comes in and starts making repairs itself. The charge is very high. Sometimes the bill is twice or thrice what you would normally pay. You can tell here in the range that it's 2 buildings. Okay, the ownership here you can see is private, PVT. You can click here on the property owner registration information, and it gives the officer, the corporation, and the managing agent. And then you can click on open violations. And you can see there's different classes of violations. A being the least you have to worry about, and C being the worst, the most dangerous and hazardous. B is in the middle, and then I is a new one. NOV over here, when it says NOV sent, that doesn't mean November, it means notice of violation sent. And we can see there's a lot of violations open right now on this particular building. So that is a kind of a brief overview of what websites you're going to be using as a manager to research violations. And I appreciate your time and I hope to see you in class.